Now that you're like this big time real estate agent, right? Did you have an opportunity to maybe find something for your parents? Like, are they thinking about moving? So, I mean,
Yeah. So actually, my parents were in California. They were living in our hometown. They were renting a house during the boom. That landlord wanted to sell and make the money, so they sold it. My parents were in Southern California, staying with his mom, my grandma, for a little bit, and then they decided, we have me out here, little brother in SoCal, older brother and his family in Idaho. So they decided to make their rounds. So they just came out here for a year. They're gonna go May to May here, then they're gonna go back to SoCal for 1 year because my little brother's having twins, his fourth and fifth kid.
that's crazy.
Yeah. And then they'll go to Boise, Idaho for a year after that. So they'll probably do that until they find a place.
And the other brother have kids?
Yep, they have two.
Two. You guys got a small football team starting over there, man. That's awesome. So tell me about your little brothers too. Or wait, are you
I'm the middle.
the middle? So your oldest and your younger brother both got drafted?
Yep. Older brother always loved baseball. I think it was his favorite. He was the best of all of us in high school. Had kind of he was a lefty, but had that my dad's pop kind of. Yeah. Could always hit homers since he was young. And he got drafted and follow, went to a JUCO. Then got drafted by the Padres, played 2 or 3 years maybe pro ball, hurt his shoulder, had a shoulder injury, they released him, went and played indie ball for a couple of years and then hung it up. And then little brother after me went JUCO route, and then from there to Santa Barbara, and then got drafted by the Blue Jays when I was with them as well, so that was cool.
Oh, shit.
And then he played for 1 or 2 years and then hung it up. And then my cousin also got drafted after him, my Uncle Ron's son.
That's incredible. And again, everybody, to get drafted is a feat. Not to have everybody in the family get drafted. That's incredible. That's and your dad get to the big leagues, and you get to the big leagues, and your 2 other brothers getting drafted. That's amazing stuff. It's
baseball. It's in the blood, I guess.
Yeah, it is absolutely.
Well, it wasn't my favorite sport, but it was in the blood.
And that actually upsets me a little bit. I'm going to tell you that upsets me because it was my favorite sport and I wanted it so bad. But you know what? There's guys that are that good that could say that, and I'm not mad at them. I'm only kidding with you, but like that's impressive. That's really impressive, man. That's some good shit.
It was fun career. I mean, sports has been part of my whole life.
So let's talk a little bit more about that because we only touched on like when you first started. So tell me all the teams that you went to. And then I'm pretty sure you went Mexican League?
Yep.
And then over to
Taiwan.
Yeah, at the end
so,
of the career.
Let's see. Got caught up in 08, 09, back to AAA, doing well again. Get called up to the big leagues, pitch well with them. And then I like a 2.7 ERA with them, doing well, feeling good. And it's right at the time when our minor leaguers coming up with Cincinnati were phenomenal. Like, we had so much talent coming up. Like Joey Votto, Jay Bruce, Johnny Cueto, Justin Turner, Drew Stubbs, like Danny Dorn. Like, we knew we were gonna be good.
Turner was there?
Yeah, rookie ball with us.
Oh my God.
And we all saw it too. That's a cool story because
Kid flew.
he's the opposite of you're thinking Trey Turner.
Oh, Trey Turner.
Justin Turner's with the big orange beard.
I love him.
Like a superstar now.
Yeah,
we all saw it. He went to Fullerton. He is like the prototypical baseball player, but analytics will not see one thing.
Yeah.
And even before analytics, they didn't see it. Every team, he's hitting 300, inside out, lets the ball get deep, puts the ball where he wants, doesn't strike out, makes every play because his self-confidence was always through the roof.
Right.
But he didn't have super tools, not 5-tool everywhere. So they just kind of leave him behind, and they're calling up other guys that are, I guess, prototypical, more talented because their ceiling's higher, but they couldn't play baseball like him. And then finally he gets a chance and just takes off.
I don't mean to cut you off because I was one of those guys like him. That's probably why I like him so much now that you remind me who he was. But he just plays the game hard every single day and plays it right.
Right. He makes adjustments every day.
Every day.
Oh, I'm at a higher level now, and I need more adjustments because they're better. I'm going to go ahead and do it.
I'm going to figure it out.
It reminds me of Belichick and the Patriots. Yeah. He never drafted the 4-2 guys. Like, I'm going to draft the football player that can run routes, catch, block, do everything that we need to win.
Exactly.
And that's how Justin was, and he finally got a chance. Does well, then he just changes his.
He went to full.
Then he goes leg kick, starts hitting homers when he wants. I'm like, that's a talent. That's like a talent that the analytics won't see. If you can just change your way and hit homers when you want, it's pretty special.
Or there's a lot of scouts that miss that. Like I feel like, and that bothers me. Like because you say, oh, they used to say I had a bad body. Like, what? I mean, what? Like, what do you mean a bad body? Like, I played a game the right way.
They want chisel physique, run a 3.8 down the line.
My body's great now. I'm 52. You want to grab me? Like, come on, man. Like, seriously. Yeah. It's but yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that team was loaded.
Yeah, that was rookie ball. So then we're all coming up through the ranks together, and every team we're doing well, like dominating for the most part. And then July comes around. In 2009, I get traded to Toronto. We had just got done playing the Blue Jays in Toronto we had a 4-game stand, and it was so fun. Like, the city was awesome. Nightlife, we're going out, having a great time. Come home, All-Star break comes. Dusty calls me in right after batting practice. July 31st, the deadline. Hey, you just got traded to Toronto. And I'm like,
tell me how that felt.
Well, I'm like, dang, I guess shocking. And then I'm like, I just got back from there. And that was a super fun city, like great. The Rogers Center is a cool dome, and so in that sense, it's like something new is cool, I guess. And I'm going to the big league still.
Yeah.
But then also realized the talent we had coming up through the ranks in Cincinnati. So I go to Toronto. I don't pitch well for them. We're terrible. And Cincinnati goes and wins the division 2 of the next 3 years in the big leagues. I'm like, that's a team. They're like groomed me to be a closer. We had Coco Cordero, who was a little older.
Yeah.
And so. It'd been nice if I didn't get traded, but it is what it is, right? Yeah. And then Toronto, I just didn't pitch well. I don't know why. I don't know if I fit in there.
Was it the atmosphere, the guys?
There was an older, kind of close-knit bullpen of guys. One of them was one of my good friends from college, Casey Jansen. We lived together, went to college together, and then in the big league team together. But I mean, it's a tough league. Obviously, the AL East is a little different than the NL Central. Just didn't. Going up and down, I get traded there. I'm there all year for the next 2 months. JP Ricciardi's the GM, and then the next he gets fired. I think Alex Anthopoulos takes over. Next year I start in AAA, then I'm going up and down and playing that game and just not throwing well with them. And then 11, I get DFA'd by the Blue Jays. Rockies picked me up.
Let's go back to before you go into the Rockies, because I don't think people understand like the mental fatigue. Forget about the physical fatigue, but the mental fatigue of going from the big leagues back down to AAA, the big leagues back down to AAA. That's got to be exhausting.
And it's the fatigue and frustration. Like, baseball's a numbers game. And people don't realize that when you're a reliever, you could dominate for a week and then have one bad outing, and to the world and the organization, they see your ERA. It's like, this guy's terrible.
Right.
Like, you can go all zeros for 6 outings. You have a 5 spot and no outs.
Yeah.
You have a 7.
Yeah.
So it's just the fluctuation of numbers as a reliever is just a nightmare. And so when you're not getting a ton of innings, you're going up and down. You have a terrible outing, you get sent down.
Yeah.
You go back up. That's the hardest part with being a 1-inning guy and then not having a lot. So I was always confident. I'm like, if I had a full year in the big leagues, like, let it spread out. Let those even.
Yeah, let it all play out.
And so I go to Colorado in 11 from Toronto, get called up that year, do really well with them.
By the way, not an easy place to pitch in.
In that AAA league is the PCO. It's the worst. It's all elevation.
Yeah.
And did well in AAA and the big leagues with them. And then 12, finally, my first team out of camp. So I get, come in the office, hey, you're making the big league team out of spring. So every year when you're in big league camp, you see the suitcases lined up. They have all the suitcases lined up with the tags on them.
Yeah, explain that to people, because like this is the behind the scenes shit that I don't even know about, that you gotta, and I get emotional thinking about what you had to go through, because if it was me, I'd be like, oh.
So your first few big league camps, it's fine. You're not making the team. Right. Dusty was cool. He kept me all the way to the end, even though I know I was gonna make it, but he just wanted to keep seeing me face these guys. But you know you're not making it, so it's whatever. You see the suitcases, like, one day they have all the big travel suitcases and the guys' names and tags on there of all the guys that are leaving with the team. And so you see that for year after year, and then you get to a point where, man, I can make it this year. And then you get sent down that day. It's frustrating. So then 4 days left in camp, Jim Tracy calls me and goes, hey, I just want to let you know you're making it this year. So you don't have to walk around wondering. Yeah. And that was the year. I had a full year, and I had a 3.2 ERA in Coors Field. So that's what I was begging for years. Like, let it spread out. The whole, I had 60-something appearances and 89 innings out of the pen that year. Led all of baseball in innings. One or two, like number 6 in WAR in the National League that year. Wow. Had my best best year by far in the big leagues. Pre-September, I had like a 2.6 and just had a terrible September. A couple, like we're talking about, even with all those innings, I had a couple meltdown outings where we have 90-plus losses. We're out of it. We're playing the Giants, who are in the thick of it.
Right.
And I have got 4 runs here, 3 runs there, and then it goes like a 3-2.
Right.
And then they let me go.
And did they let you go?
My best year ever, like one of the best relievers in the team, and that's when it's frustrating. Like, and you don't get an answer why either.
Yeah, that's the one thing. How do you know at that point that, like, I don't know how I could handle that. Like, I'm 52, and nobody gave me an answer why I didn't get drafted. Now, I might know now at 52 because I'm a lot more clear where I am in my life. I understand, like, but nobody could actually physically give me an answer, and that's the thing that, it ate at me. I'm just like black and white. Tell me how this goes. Tell me the answer. How do I get better? How do I fix it? Like, that's what we do as athletes, I think, a lot of times. And when that happened to you, you were like, you had to be dumbfounded and be like, wait a second. Are you kidding me? I pitched my best.
My dad still talks about it. He's frustrated. I think it's because I wonder if numbers were starting to come into the game, analytics, and my strikeout to walk ratio was not great. My whatever the other ones are, the fly balls or whatever it may be, but they probably thought they have a younger guy that can do better the next year. But I was league minimum. That's a confusing thing because if you're set to make a lot of money next year, I could see like, okay, hey, we want to save some money, but that wasn't the case. I think it was more of not the cleanest innings, I guess, and erratic in times, but
you know what? This is what bothers me because we know that baseball's a game of failure. And you're going to have bad days. Like, I mean, we have bad days every day, right? So, like, you can't be perfect in that game. So that would still, you're such a bigger person than I am because it actually is eating me up right now thinking about, like, how can you say to me, I had one of my best year, the best year I had, and then you're going to let me go, and I'm making the league minimum.
Fortunately and unfortunately, so when you get DFA'd, the team with the worst record the year before gets first dibs at you. And so I had a great year in Coors Field, so the Twins right away got me. But they weren't a great team.
Yeah.
But if they don't take me in, a couple of teams down the road is like, a team that has a chance in September. But I go to the Twins, so I'm still in the big leagues all year the next year, and do the same thing again. I have a great year until September. I had like a 2.9 going to September. Yeah.
Tell me it happened again.
Yeah. Well, and then that year I got non-tendered, which means that's my arbitration year. I finally broke where you always want to get to.
Yeah,
and so I probably make $1 million the next year, and they're like, my shoulder was killing me. I think they knew that too. And I had a terrible September, and so they let me go, and then it was all downhill from now. It's back to the minor leagues So that's the Twins. 14, I go to the Nationals in AAA. Had my first career start. Told the coach, like, hey, if we get a rain out, like, let me get a start. I'm older now. You got to save some arms for the younger guys, whatever. Yeah. And so I have some starts that year.
I love how you're always lobbying.
Yeah. Well, especially with the coaches you can do it with. Like, he is super down to earth. Yeah. Paul Manhart is like 2 days later, is like, hey, you're getting one.
That's awesome.
And then so I had a few starts that year. First time ever starting a game, really, since high school. And then didn't pitch great with them. Go back to the Rockies that year, AAA, and then didn't throw well with them. 15, Brewers signed me as a starter, so now I'm in AAA starting. Our home stadium is Colorado Springs, which is higher than Denver, so it's awful place. Atmosphere, pitching's not great. It's balls go everywhere. Your stuff doesn't move. On the road, I pitched great. At home, it was terrible. They don't sign me back. 16, I go to the Angels, try out for them. I'm gonna throw a sidearm this year because now I'm 30. I get no phone calls that off season.
Right.
So I'm like, man, am I gonna sign? So I can always throw a sidearm messing around. So all off season I worked on that, and then went to the Angels and threw for them and threw well, and they signed me.
Where were you? Like, were you 3/4?
It's weird when you do it. I feel like I'm down here, and you see video, and it's like up here.
That's what my son Tommy did. Like, he went to school. He actually kind of did what you did and recreated himself. He was a middle infielder, lefty stick, could fly but not a ton of pop, and he was just like, knew he wasn't going to see the field. He went to his coach and he's like, Coach, I want to pitch. He's like, you want to pitch? He's like, yeah, I want to pitch. He's like, well, you got to kind of like try out again. And he was like, I don't care, I'll do it. And he goes, Dad, he called me. This is when I was living in Puerto Rico, just going through the divorce, and he called me, and I thought this was like, it was in the middle of it, and I thought he was calling to tell me he was quitting baseball because I could just see the writing on the wall. And he goes, I just want to tell you, Pops, I'm going to pitch. And I almost dropped the phone. I was like, what? He goes, yeah, I'm going to pitch. And by the way, I'm going to throw submarine. And I'm like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? I go, you're going to try that in college? And he goes, Dad, I'm going to figure it out. And he did. And he ended up being the career save, the closer.
No way.
Career saves, yeah.
It's nasty.
He was filthy.
I used to hate, when I was on deck, I hated when I saw them bring, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh, run. Oh,
it starts middle and just eats you up. Yeah. And so
and then he had this wicked slider that came across, like when he was on with it. Oh my God.
It's that's what I did. I threw my spike curveball that I always had.
That's how he threw it.
And I threw it from here. And it was the first pitch I've ever had where you always see left on left sliders, and as soon as they throw it, the lefty swings into the dirt. I'm like, I've never had that. And then I throw from here, righties. As soon as I let go, they're swinging the balls in the other. I'm like, finally.
Finally, I get that.
And so I fly up through. I dominate every. They started me in the very bottom again. Had to work my way up all the way to AAA.
Where were you down here?
88, 91. So it was pretty hard, and it was moving heavy, and then this was moving a lot. And then, dominated every level, and then AAA didn't do well. Actually, the elevation that was not working. Yeah, the ball's not doing this, and this is moving.
Sitting there on the tee.
And then 17, no teams call. Actually, get my life insurance license. Started doing that a little bit to fall back on if I don't sign. And Mexico calls and signed me as a starter. Go down there, 2017.
How's the arm, by the way?
Right now?
Like, no, not now. When you were because you said your shoulder was bothering you back then.
I didn't realize. I got a couple MRIs. It was all clean. It was all. Any of you pitchers out there, don't ignore your arm exercises. Like I did for years. Like I thought they were just eye wash. Whatever, do the motions, but everything starts pulling forward, and so this small gap in here gets pinched, and so every time I throw, it was grinding on like the supraspinatus, one of the rotator cuff ligaments, and that's all it was. I had to get my scaps back to right
back, yes.
And so I had to work every day and do scap exercises to get those set back. So that opened up, and then
it was fine.
Yeah, started feeling way better. Go to Mexico, make the All-Star team, do really well. Negotiating with them in 18 to go back, figured it out. Like, it was a fun league too. So talking about my contract to the GM and figured it out. It's like a week before season starts in 18, and Taiwan calls. Like, hey, we have an offer for you to come play. One of the scouts from there. It was a little more money at the time than Mexico, but I'd never been. I talked to my wife. I'd never been to Asia at all. She'd never been. New opportunity. Yeah, that's cool. And I kind of want to go to Japan or Korea anyways, because those are the better. Japan's number 2 in the world in baseball.
Right. And
they pay Americans a ton.
Yeah,
Korea pays well too. So I'm like, well, if I'm closer there, logically you'd think it'd be easier to get to. And so I go to Taiwan to the Tainan is a city. It's the 7-Eleven Lions, Uni Lions, and win ERA title that year, Gold Glove that year. They signed me back the next year, do well, and then a third year is when I ended up hurting this in spring, and I knew it, and just grinded through it to get my second half picked up, and then just couldn't do anymore and came home. Yeah.
I always like to ask people this, and you said it was okay to ask you. I know you're faith driven, but were you faith driven when you were younger? Was it always part of your life? Because for me, when we talked off camera, I said I did go to church when I was younger. I was forced to go, so really was I faith driven. I had to go until I was 16, and when I was 16, I was done going to church. But that I always pray to God I did, and then when I didn't get drafted, I completely and that's the wrong way to look at things, guys. That's not how life works. But I didn't understand, and now I understand at 52. But when I lost faith, I think that's when I spiraled out of control too. So and I know your family's faith driven. So I just curious if that was from you were little and you stayed with it, or you just kind of went back and forth, and now where we are today.
Yeah, it's been. Actually, I talked to my pastor about this because we had a small group of guys, and we were giving our testimonies, and I'm like, mine's not exciting or extravagant like some of them are, which I love to hear those ones. He's like, that's awesome. He's like, people want to hear that too. So with me, it's been from as a kid, it's remained, my whole life. So I grew up in a Christian home, both parents, grandma, and we were just always around it too. Always going to church, and the families we hung out with were also strong Christians as well. So I think it's almost like it takes a village, So those families we're so close with everybody that the kids are kind of being monitored and taken care of and looked after from the other parents as well. But obviously it starts in the household. So my mom and dad were always been Christians and forced us to go to church, like you said. And then it gets harder when you get older and you don't have to anymore and you have other distractions. And
Did you go while you were playing in the big leagues and all?
so in pro ball, it's cool. It's called chapel because on Sundays we can't go to church, obviously.
Right.
And so the chaplain comes in every Sunday, does like a 15-minute, lesson, verses, and we don't do worship, but it's just great to see the guys show up. Right.
I don't right now. I don't go to a church. I just pray every day and multiple times a day, and it's helped with my anxiety. That was the other thing I didn't know if I shared with you. Like I didn't even know I had anxiety. Like for all the years of.
Right, you don't know what it is.
I didn't know what it was because I was drinking, doing pills. Like I think that's what I was masking the pain of. You see, my anxiety turns to anger. So I mask the anxiety and I get angry. I snap quick but that's usually because I'm anxious about. So I'm learning this about me now. So it's just pretty cool because now that I'm clean and don't think about anything but how to keep my circle small and my family like tight and like try to teach my kids all the things that I did wrong. I never knew what anxiety was because I always just masked it with drugs, alcohol, and then my anger would kick in and then it would just it's just a vicious cycle. So now it's having God in my life has been a game changer.
And he tells us to. He says, "Give me all your anxiety and worries. Like don't put on yourself. Like give them to me." That's what prayer is. Like,
and it works.
Oh yeah.
And people think it. I'm telling you, it works. I'm telling you, I had a young man I was talking to because that's what this is all about, helping others, and that's why I'm here, and that's why you're here. Thank you for coming again. But to be able to help other people because our world is pretty crazy, and we're in this fast click twitch. Like everything's got to be instant gratification, and that's not what life's about. It's like living in the moment, and being
right. It's like people want to fast forward to the result and not just enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
It happens with all of us. Like that's what distractions do. It's like I even say it when I'm distracted. I'm not here. Like I'm not enjoying the present or like being present. It's like you're thinking of all of the multiple things.
Until recently, and it's hard for me because I was never in the present. Even when I was doing great things with work, with great things I mean by making money, and even when I was playing sports, I'd always be like, well, I should have made this, and I'm like, God, I look back on all the stuff that I accomplished, and I accomplished a lot in sports, and I never really enjoyed it. That's a terrible way to look at life. And it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter about any of that stuff. It's living in the I mean, we all need to work and make money to make life easier for our kids and ourselves. But that part of it, I'm really upset at myself because I should have, and I'm going to do a better job for the next 50 years because I'm going to live to be 100. And me too. Yeah, you are.
There's some great examples I've heard of what you're saying right now, and it's you ask any 20-year-old, they would do anything to have $1 million. You ask any 80-year-old millionaire, he'll give as much money as he can to be 20 again.
Exactly. It's time.
Yeah. Time is the only thing you can't buy.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't know when it's going to end. I lost my dad at 67. And he worked his ass off his whole life. He was a dude. Plumber, built the business up, my mom and him. And they had $2,500 in a beat-up truck, and they turned it into a multi-million-dollar plumbing business. But he couldn't even enjoy it because he died at 67. So, it's time. That's what I always say. Health, the three major categories are health, wealth, and relationship in business and everything we do in our life. And it's funny because I see a lot of young kids and even older people, adults that worship people that have a lot of money, but the other two parts of their life are shit. You don't go, why would you go to that guy for advice about health when he's 400 pounds, even though he's got 150 million? That makes no sense. Why would you go to him? Why'd you ask him about a health question? Or why would you, if he's really if he's in a shitty relationship, why would you go to him but because we see him, we're like, oh, he's got
blinded by the shiny things.
Yeah, exactly.
But back to when the Christian home. So grew up as a Christian, and that's what I was saying in my testimony too. Is, I mean, there's no doubt about it. He was always there. Even even if I tried to like stray away, not intentionally, but like just so many distractions or wrong choices possibly, like he's always there.
Yeah.
Like it's up to us. He's there waiting for us, and he's always kind of keeping me close, you know. So sure, I made bad choices and would drink when you're not supposed to and smoke, whatever. But he was always there, like always keeping me, you know, close by and not letting me get too far away. So even in college, you know, I had almost two groups of friends. You know, we had the athletes that I was partying with, and then I would go attend Bible studies with a couple of guys that I live with. And then, and it's weird thinking back now, like even in high school too.
I wish I had more. I wish I did that.
I'm glad I did too, because
it's life changing.
Like it's weird looking back now as an adult, like in high school and college, like making fun of like the Christian boy. Yeah. And I'm like, that's not an insult. Like
no, that's actually thank you. Right.
At the time you're young, it's like, why are they making fun of me for being a Christian? Which shoot, now it's happening more than ever.
Well, look at our world we live in.
Yeah, and this is back then. Yeah. So even in college, like I go to Bible study with these guys. Like, how's that house living with those dorks? I'm like, you guys have no idea.
You have no clue.
But I was almost like living two lives because.
And then by the way, it's funny. I want to know how many of those guys you went to Bibles, and again, that's not how God works, but it's kind of funny. You made it to the big leagues. All those other assholes that were like, oh, how are the dorks or Bible study? How many of those guys made it and actually had a career out of it? And like, you because, again, the balance of your life and keeping faith in it, I think had a big part of it. And I mean.
And the biggest thing is, like I said to you before we started, is having him too, like the Holy Spirit and being a follower. Like, I didn't allow baseball to be my idol. Yeah, man. So I didn't like worship the game. That's a great line. And I know I played with a lot of guys that love baseball a lot more than me. They're more passionate about it. So you can see when they retire, it's a lot more difficult to just walk away from the game. With me having, the Lord is my backbone, he's always there. That's most important. I mean, I got to the big leagues because of him. What he blessed me with, the talents, like you said. Right. I didn't even love the game as many other people, but he blessed me with an incredible arm, health my whole career. Like no major injury till year 15.
Yeah, 15. And it was pretty much, you're almost, 40?
Yeah, I was 39 at the time.
39, I mean, it's all pretty much over. Like, that's crazy. And people don't, it's not a coincidence, it's real. Like, I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that's really real. I used to believe in coincidences because I didn't have the faith like I do now. Because I see my life changing, like even with the anxiety part, like over the last month, I've really worked hard at that part of it, and I see the anxiety kind of like simmering down, and like better things are happening around me. Not monetary wise, like that point will come again someday, but like just the way I see things in my life. So it's very, very
well. And you notice too, like in pro ball when we had the chapel days, the guys that always attended chapel, the other believers and Christians. There's a difference with them. Like they have their head on their shoulders, they have their families, they don't have the egos with fame like a lot of the players who didn't attend because they're letting the fame and the money kind of control them. And
that's another thing. How many guys did you see like that? Like, I mean, how is it? I got another question. We could talk all day. The clubhouse, like, I mean, you're just a level-headed dude. I mean, you're like probably easy to talk to everybody, like. But there's some big ass egos in those fucking clubhouses, like.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty much a chameleon. Yeah, I could get along with everybody, and I'd always every new team though, I gotta give it a few days, at least a few days, sometimes a week, just kind of see who's who to be myself. I don't want to talk trash like I do or joke around and annoy people if they're not right, because I'm not gonna talk trash with someone who doesn't trash talk. I always say that, like, you can tell who's who, and so it takes a little bit, and then I kind of open up. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you see some guys who were kind of middle of the road and then have a great year and become a superstar, and all of a sudden they're way different. You're like, what is the point of that? Yeah. But then you see guys, it's so easy to judge guys on the other side of the dugout. Guys like Bryce Harper, you see those antics in the field when you're playing against them, and like what a clown. And then I was in the clubhouse with him in Washington. He was way different, like happy-go-lucky, all smiles, talking to everybody. So I'm like, it's hard. Like Richard Sherman said in that one interview, like, don't judge me on that one being on the field with emotions running. Like, don't judge me in that small setting. And so that's kind of, after that, I'm like, okay, these guys they're on the field competing, adrenaline's running. Maybe that's not who they are.
Going back to Turner seems like a dude like you want to hang out with. He's a guy's guy.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a long time, but yeah, he was He's always cool, super low key. Like I said, his self confidence is always, regardless of if he wasn't getting call ups or on the prospect list, like he knew he could play the game, and so he just talked about the long game. He just kept doing it. At some point, and you hit 300 every year, you do all the right things, make all the right plays. Like someone's gonna give you a shot, and he took it, ran with it, and never looked back.
I mean, they stray off the faith part, but that's no. This has been truly amazing, and I there's one other thing that I want to touch base on because we both have a blended family of 5, and I have kids in my 20s, and I'm also now raising a 10-year-old, and going through the baseball ranks again, and us running into each other at the Little League field. I see things differently now because I'm 52 and I've done this 3 times already, with the 3 other boys, and like I coached for a long time, and I walked into coaching, and I coached high school baseball for a while, and I walked into like when club baseball just started kicking in with my oldest, and then now fast forward, my youngest is 6 years younger, and now I have a 10-year-old that's playing in club baseball. Is like it's next level, like ridiculous, like and I'm looking back and I'm like, God, what happened to like doing what we talked about, the 3 sports? And you have kids down here that are playing in Florida, they're playing year round at 10 years old, and it's disgusting, like to me, because they're worried about like, I gotta play on the next hot whatever travel team that's gonna they're going to go to Georgia at 10 years old. Like, why are you going to Georgia? You're playing on a Little League diamond, and you're paying $3,000 to play on this team.
And then what happens if they don't make it? Talk about
and then parents go crazy.
And the kid
loses his mind.
I didn't expect. I mean, sure. When I was younger, I think my mom showed me a letter, and like when I was 8, like I want to be a professional athlete, something like that. But these kids are like almost. They're doing it so hardcore that what if you don't make it? Like you already made baseball your idol at a young age,
That's what I mean. Like they've made it, and I'm at fault too. I always take accountability for my actions, and I felt like I put my youngest, who's birth son, who's now 19, and he's a monster. He's 6'2", and I'm blessed that he's 218 and going to IMG Academy. I almost forced him out of baseball because I was coaching like a lunatic. Like at 11 years old, I had him playing up with the 12-year-olds, and then. Which in today's world, I like that's how we were brought up. Like if you were good enough, you played up. Now you play down if you're good enough.
Yeah, it's weird now.
Because they want the age, like they want you to dominate.
Right.
That's what it is. They don't want you to get. See, this is the part where I have trouble with. Like if you're gonna let your kid dominate, like and let him play down, like because the way the age group falls, and he can play 11 instead of 12, and he's gonna dominate. When he has failure at 16 or 17, because everything always catches up on the big diamond, that kid's not going to handle it very well. Not going to handle it very well. So I always thought playing up was a better thing, and I think I did do the right thing with him until it got to a point where like he got so upset with me that he was like, I don't even know if I want to play baseball. And that's when I was like, whoa, you got to stop. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I'm not too involved with the travel ball. I mean, I haven't been involved at all, actually. My nephews play, so I know about a little bit with that, and my brother-in-law. But my son's he'll be 9, but he hasn't played any travel ball yet.
He just plays with Lakeland Ranch.
Yeah, he's playing flag football right now. Awesome. He'll do baseball in the fall. He likes soccer a lot, too. So, yeah, keep doing those. But, yeah, I mean, Tom House had a great line. He's a baseball guru, and he said, I won't even look at a kid until he's after puberty.
Seriously. So
all these kids, living and breathing baseball and wanting to dominate at 10 and 11, like, it doesn't really mean much.
And you see these parents pulling the wagon with and they're bringing their other kids for 17 games on.
It's hard on the kid. It's hard on the parents and the siblings. Like it's not easy for anyone. But it's almost like what you were saying before. It's almost like they feel forced to do it because if you're not on this team, you'll never make it. If you're not doing this, if you're not playing 5 years of travel ball before high school, like just.
But how crazy is that? Like they wanted to travel. Like I just know because we went through it with Mason, and 9 years old, the guy was like, "Oh, we're going to travel to Georgia." I go, "You're going to go to the perfect game in Georgia for the Little League?" Like I've been there twice with my older kids for high school, and it's like it's no fun doing it then. Like so we're going to go there, and then we can't win the Sarasota Open. Never mind go to Georgia and get our asses pounded. So I got to pay $3,000 and stay in a hotel.
Yeah, when you're younger, the only time we left is if you win your All-Star region.
And we went to the next town.
Right.
Yeah, like
not
it wasn't
just because.
Yeah, just cause.
So pay money, on your own dime.
Yeah, on our own dime and pay the coaches. Yeah,
it's wild now.
Yeah, it's a crazy time. I guess we're on the same page. I just think it's excessive.
It's too much. Like they took a good thing. It's almost like they say, don't make a good thing a God thing.
It's true.
Travel ball in a sense can be good, but now there's a million teams. It's year round.
It's watered down. You can play anytime you want.
I don't know how these kids don't get burned out if playing year round for year after year after year.
And I think a lot of them do, and I think that's why the injuries are up.
Oh, definitely. That's a lot of throwing.
Especially the throwing and the
That's what off season's for. I mean, so throwing in general or long tossing is not really bad for your arm. On the mound is when it gets bad. The decline of the hill, you get extended more, and that's what puts all the pressure on the elbow. So long tossing, you get it all day, but if you're playing year round, you're getting on the mound a lot more when you probably should be resting.
Right.
Especially at a young age when it's still developing.
Still growing.
And they're all wanting to throw nasty stuff now. Yeah. I'm like, what are you guys doing? If you can't command your fastball, why are you asking me about your curveball?
Curveball or slider, and I'm like, I tell my 10-year-old, I'm like, Mason, you're gonna learn how to throw a fastball, and you're gonna throw a changeup until you're in height, 14, because you're not spinning any.
You better show me you can command those, because I don't care how nasty your breaking ball is. They're gonna stand there like a statue if you can't throw anything for a strike. Right. So.
All right, but I just, I think we're gonna end on that, and I just want to thank you so much for coming today.
Absolutely.
It's been a great time. I mean, I could stay here. We could talk baseball all night and talk about things, but I'm really glad we included the faith part of it, because it's becoming a big part of my life, and I'm blessed that you've kept it on through your life, and now your kids are going to have it. You're a real inspiration to a lot of people, so you should be proud of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for doing what you're doing and allowing people to sit down and just open up and chat. And that's good. That's good for people to do that. You know,
I shouldn't be here. Like, I should be dead. You know, there's a couple times, more than a couple times, I put myself in situations that I shouldn't be here. But 2 times that I tell everybody at the end of this that, you know, I woke up with throw up in my throat, choking on it like twice when I was almost 300 pounds from. You know, I don't know why I'm here. I think my dad was like, you got it. You have more to do on this earth. So, so that's why Kaizen Kast is here. So everybody, thank you for listening. I appreciate everybody listening, and continue to follow on all our social media pages and pass the word along. Thank you very much.